Hey guys, welcome back to Sockets and Sideburns. So in today's video, we're going to be trying to solve the mystery of the PCV system fitted to these Renault Clios, as well as in any vehicle fitted with the 1.2 16 valve D4F engines. Now this question crops up quite a lot on the forums and people seem very confused by it, whether the engine even has one, where it is, how it works, and how you might go about cleaning it. So today we'll go over the whole thing in as much detail as possible and try and answer some of these questions. Let's get started. So the PCV system, which is positive crankcase ventilation system, is in two main parts on this engine. I've made this little diagram to help show you. So basically all the system consists of on the D4F engines is three pipes teed together which connect the rocker cover to the inlet manifold and air box. And everything else is built into the rocker cover itself. Now, as to what's inside the rocker cover itself, I'm afraid that we would have to cut one open to find out for sure. This is actually the main reason for me making this video. The rocker covers don't come cheap, and the only way to resolve a blockage in there would be to get a new rocker cover itself. I think they go for around £140. Now, this system is actually very basic, and as far as I can tell, there isn't even a valve in the system. However, this hasn't stopped Renault doing their level best to make the whole thing as unserviceable as possible. In fact, in their factory manual, the system is listed under oil rebreathing system, and literally all it says is, the oil decanter is located in the rocker cover. These two components are manufactured together. Helpful. Now, if the system becomes blocked, some of the signs will be oil in the air filter or the air box, or leaking gaskets, particularly the rocker cover gasket, which is why I recommend doing this job if you're taking the rocker cover off because of a leaking gasket. Another symptom you can get is mayonnaise under the oil cap and in the oil filler neck, which is basically just an emulsion of oil and water. However, please be aware that some mayo under the oil cap or in the filler neck is not at all uncommon on these engines. Due to the remote location of the oil filler from the engine, it doesn't really get much of a chance to warm up and burn off any of that condensation. So in this video, I'll show you how to take off the pipes that form part of the PCV, and refitting is just the reversal of removal. I definitely recommend that you're going to start with the pipes if you suspect a block system. They're the most likely place for any blockage and obviously far easier to remove than the rocker cover. However, if that doesn't fix your problem, then you're going to have to use my rocker cover removal video, which I'll put a card up on the screen for now, and then you can clean out your rocker cover just as I do after I've done the pipes in this video. Now, it's best to start with these pipes first, unless of course you're already taking the rocker cover off, in which case I recommend you do this job while you have it off, just to save you having to take it off just to do this in the future. Also, don't forget to check out my rocker cover playlist and look at the valve clearance video, which you might also consider doing while you have the rocker cover off. Right, so these three pipes that form this T-piece are here. Are mounted to the air box at one end, to the inlet manifold here, and then down to the rocker cover at the back there. And all they do is just pull off. I'll show you that now. So they'll come off all as one piece, as that T-piece. Start with this one on the air box. Pull it out that keeper there, and just, if it's stiff on here, just give it a twist like that, and then it'll pull off. And then do this one on the inlet manifold. Again, if it's stiff, just a quick twist and pull it off the stub. And then you're going to want to tuck this one under the fuel vapor pipe. And then just reach down here and you can wiggle it from the stub on the rocker cover. And then ease it out from under the brake servo vacuum pipe. And there it is, ready to clean out. Okay, so over at the bench now, and we're going to give these pipes a good clean out, see if they've got any blockages or anything like that in them. We use a pipe cleaner to do this with. We're just going to be real careful because obviously this end we could potentially damage or pierce the pipes themselves, so we'll just be going through gently. So we'll take them off. I'd take a picture before you start doing this, or lay them out in an order so you know how to put them back together again. You have to take them all off because you want to clean that T-piece out well as well. So I'll do them like that, and then I'll remember which way around they've gone. And so we can see the mayonnaise inside there. That's what we're going to be getting rid of. Now, if this is really bad, you're probably going to be poking through whole lumps of sludge. Mine really isn't too bad at all. I've been able to pull that all the way through carefully. And then just have a look down inside. Make sure you're happy and got all the sludge out. That's that one done. And then I'm going to clean the T-piece next so I can start refitting back to it. This is where a good amount has accumulated. Look at that. Yummy. And with this, since it's hard plastic, if you want to, you can give it a spray out with a bit of brake clean or something like that, just to finish it up if you wanted to. I wouldn't do that with the pipes themselves, just because we don't know how they will react with any particular degreaser. This one next. And again, we can just angle it to a way that we can get right through. Go in reverse again. This one might not be so easy. I doubt we're going to get all the way through this one, just because we won't be able to fetch it out the other side. Okay, maybe don't go in quite that far with that bend on there. This one seems to be the clearest one of all. I expected this to be the worst. Okay, so once you've got all these cleaned out of any blockages that you might have had, we just put them all back together. So I'll grab it. And then we can refit it back on the car. So now the rest of the PCV system is actually located inside the rocker cover itself. Now those pipes that we were just cleaning out, that T-piece, that's going into the stub here on the rocker cover. Now I'm not sure if you can see, but there is some mayonnaise down inside there. The emulsion of oil and condensation, so water. Now from there, it's going into the rocker cover itself, and there is absolutely nothing on this underside that you can take apart whatsoever. It's a completely sealed unit in here. So now what I'm going to try and do is see if I can find the best way to try and clean this out, and I'm also going to put my inspection camera as far down inside as possible to see if we can get a good look at the inner workings of the PCV. Okay, so from what I can see right now, we've got this stub from the top, which is obviously feeding to the inlet manifold and the air box itself to give vacuum. And then if you turn it over, on the inside, we've got this big box section in the center here, which looks like a kind of reservoir to me. And then I'm going to guess there'll be baffles or compartments inside here. And then it seems to draw up, you've got two kind of three air scoop looking things here, which go to the underside of that reservoir piece here. And then what we've also got is two kind of pipes coming out from here. And I'm going to guess these are going to be sort of a pipe coming down, and then you've got a sort of trap round the back here, cupping over it like that. Now this is all just guesswork because obviously I can't see inside, so I can't tell you what's in there. Like I said, we'll try and get the inspection camera down in there and see what we can see. Right, before I try and put my inspection camera in there, I don't particularly fancy it getting covered in mayonnaise if I go down through here. So I'm going to give this stub a quick clean out with the pipe cleaner, like what I was doing on the pipes that I had off earlier. Let's just see. Now I'm not going to force it down in too hard, because if we run into a valve or anything like that, I should like to keep it intact. Right, I have hit a dead stop there. My guess is that's just going to be the end. Let's even check, shall we? It went into there. Let's try that again. To there. So it's going that far in, but we're running into something solid there. So give it a rotation. Draw it out. Now I'll try and get my camera down in there and let's have a look at what we can see. Okay, it looks like we're just going straight down. Down. Probably just can't quite get through that hole. But we can see there is an awful lot. I don't know how well you guys can pick that up, but there is an awful lot of mayonnaise down inside there. I will also try and see if we can get a look up through in here, but I'm not sure that, no. No, really can't see anything up in there. I didn't expect that we were going to be able to see anything, but it certainly does look like we just dropped down straight into there, and now I know there's no valve or anything in here. Okay, so I'm going to see how well we might be able to get a slightly smaller pipe cleaner. See if we can't run, keep going up the wrong one. See if we can run that up inside there at all. Not drawing out anything too nasty. Likewise from that one. Everything that I've seen so far, it's all relatively big, like wide open ports and things. I wouldn't think that they should very easily become blocked. I'm guessing the most likely places to block up are going to be those pipes on account of, because they're remote from the engine, they're colder, so it's going to give it time to turn into that thick mayonnaise. The hotter it is, that water is going to evaporate out, and you should find that it's not going to block up anywhere that's hot. That's why on the D4F722, because the oil filler is so remote from the engine, that's why you always find mayonnaise inside the oil filler cap as well. So we really can't get any kind of pipe cleaner or anything like that very far into here. And obviously because we can't see or disassemble anything, there really isn't any way for us to give it a good thorough clean inside. At least not with a brush or anything like that. The only thing that I can think to do is going to be to run some liquid through the top here and let it come out through these ports, and then, you know, give it a good slosh around, see if we can clean out everything that's in here. I shouldn't think liquid is going to damage the inside of here. Now, I'm not going to say that I recommend doing it this way, because this isn't in any service book and it's not a procedure for anything. However, the only other option, if this is well and truly gummed up, blocked up inside here, the only other thing you can do is simply buy a new one anyway, so you really can't do any harm. Okay, so my idea to give this a good clean out, since we can't disassemble it in any way, can't really get any pipe cleaners up in there, can't get any rags in, anything to give it a good clean out. What I'm going to do, I'm going to attach a hose pipe onto this stub on top of the rocker cover where the PCV pipes actually go. Get a Jubilee clip on there as well, just so it doesn't blow off. I doubt there'll be any pressure at all, but I don't want to get sprayed in the face. Now, I do not recommend that you do it this way. I'm just doing this for an experiment and to see what we get. However, if your PCV is completely blocked and it is in the rocker cover, you really can't do any harm. Since it's all built in, the only other way to solve it is going to be to buy a new one, so you might as well give this a try. The other thing you could try is if you spray or pour a load of degreaser down in here, which will obviously break down oil as well, that may, and give it a good slosh around, you may find that works better for you. Right, I've put some safety goggles on as well, just to be safe. Let's see what we get. Okay, there's no real pressure. Just try and give it a... It's running through fairly clear on mine. Turn it up this way so it starts to pour out of the two. There we go, that's got it all flowing now. Lean it back so that it focuses primarily on the back two. On the front three. And I am just gonna very timidly turn it over so that it completely fills it. And I can start giving it a good Okay, I'm going to have to shut that off now because that's nearly full. Get the worst of the water out, but if you can hear any sloshing around, obviously you need to get some more out. You do not want this going back on. Obviously this needs to be completely dried out before you refit it to the car. You do not want this to still be filled with water when you refit it. So, as we can see, there really isn't much in here, just a few globs. And since it brought that out, I expect anything that is in there is going to come out with it. I don't think that there's going to be huge amounts in there. I mean, that water was passing through quite quick. So if there was a large deposit in there, I think that would have come out with it. Most likely, as I say, most of it is going to be found in those PCV pipes themselves. Okay, so as we can see from that, there's definitely no flow restrictions through here. If your air couldn't get through, you would be, as soon as you started pumping water through, there'd be sludge pouring out of this thing. So obviously, whatever you do, if you do choose to do this, make sure that the rocker cover and the insides as well, at the very least, you don't want to hear any sloshing in here, but I would give this a good long time to make sure that it's fully dried out before you refit it to the engine. Okay, so I've left this to dry overnight and it's just not sat well with me how this has been left. I mean, yeah, running water through it will probably shift any blockages out and clear the worst of any sludge. But I mean, if you've committed to taking this off, it's not really a 5-minute job, so you're going to want it to be as spotless as can be. Obviously, the main problem is getting anything into here, which we can't do. So basically, what I want to do is flush this through with something a little more aggressive. Well, aggressive's not really the right word. Something that's actually going to break down the oil. Obviously, the problem is that degreaser doesn't come out the tap, and even if it did, it would cost a fortune. What we really need is a way to recirculate the degreaser through this like a parts washer would. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a parts washer at the moment. However, I've essentially come up with what I'm going to call a poor man's parts washer. So what I've got here is a pump and a length of 13mm internal diameter tubing. Now, I'll leave links to all these things in the description below. Now, you can get pumps other than these ones. There are just plain electric ones, but they won't give as good a flow rate and they cost about twice as much money. This one is essentially portable and they do come in handy for other things too. The only drawback, of course, is that you actually need a drill to run it. The other thing we then need, of course, is a degreaser. A couple of requirements for this: it can't be flammable and it needs to be safe on plastic. I had a quick look around and found this one from Screwfix. It's not flammable and clearly states safe on plastic. However, I am going to just do a quick spot test on the rocker cover, just leaving a neat dollop on there and letting it sit for 10 minutes to check that there's no reaction. For anyone not in the UK that may not be able to get this exact degreaser, here's a list of the active ingredients. So now I'm just going to put all this piping and the pump together, and then I'll show you my setup once I've done all that. Okay, so all I've done to create this setup is screw the pump to a piece of board here. They do supply you with some bolts and nuts for fixing, but I found that screws are more than sufficient and a bit tidier as well. And then from there, we've got the flow pipe, which is going up to the stub on the rocker cover, where it's going to pump the degreaser through it. And then the pickup pipe is down in the bottom of this antifreeze pan, which is a big, I think, 19-litre pan, so should allow us a good amount for recirculation. Now, the degreaser in here is diluted 3 parts water to 1 part degreaser. And then that's going to be picked up by the pump and then pumped through the PCV in the rocker cover, and it will go back into the drain pan to be picked up again, and on it goes. Okay, so first I'm just going to operate the drill by hand on the slow speed just to get all this primed, check that it's not leaking anywhere out the pipes, and also I'm a little bit concerned that we might get some foam up here from the degreaser. So if I just feather the trigger, okay, that didn't quite work yet, just because the pickup pipe was too elevated and it needs clamping in place as well. So I'm just going to run a cable tie around the handle of the pan back here, just to give the pickup pipe a bit of a bracket, if you will, to make sure that it stays in position and that we can keep it submerged nicely. Right, okay, let's try that again. fastest speed, I think, but just feather the trigger. Okay, that's all looking good. Not too much foam either. You might not be able to see very well on camera, but this water, well, degreaser and water is coming out brown at the moment. Might not pick up too well on the camera, but at the end, I'll get rid of these bubbles and I'll let you see in there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to clamp this drill trigger, and then I'm going to occasionally let go and sometimes come and give it a bit of a wiggle, perhaps change the position just so that it comes out of the ports differently. Okay, that's had a good 5 minutes running through now. And that is coming out brown. Now I imagine we're not getting anything new from inside the rocker cover. What I imagine is that we're just recirculating that contaminated water degreaser mix. So what I'm going to do, I'll get rid of some of this foam so I can show you guys just how bad that was. And then I think I'll change this out and I'll flush it with just some water next time. And then if that water doesn't come clear, I'm going to go ahead and flush through with a weaker degreaser and water mix again. All right, so I've taken the rocker cover away. Let's see what we can... That is brown. So yeah, I'm going to say that this water's completely contaminated now. And I'm going to change it out for just fresh water, because once you've used this degreaser, you need to then flush that out with just fresh water. But I'm going to do fresh water. If that comes out brown again and that ends up saturated like this is here, then I'll run another round of the degreaser, but probably diluted a little bit more down now. Right, just to wash through with some plain Jane hot water now. This is probably going to do it some good because that degreaser and water mix is going to have sat in there. There'll be some residual in there and that will have sat soaking now. And also give you guys a chance to see a bit better just how contaminated the water is that comes out. I do think we'll be doing some more passes, but as I said, we'll be diluting the degreaser a bit more. It says to use 5 capfuls under normal circumstances per 5 litres. And we did a 3-to-1 mix, I think, for the first run. After this, I think I'll be just doing a splodge in each one and keep going until we come out completely clear. That's how I want to get this. I want to get this water coming out clear, because this is not an easy thing to take off. So while it's off, we might as well do it properly. Fresh battery in the drill. And let's get this all reconnected. Right, I'll just prime it again by hand. Right, I'm going to clamp it and give it, I think, perhaps a minute, like that. Okay, that's not quite coming through clear, I'd say yet. I mean, it is a hell of a lot clearer like that. I'll show you now. So there we are, look, as you can see, that is a lot clearer than it was on the first round with the degreaser, quite a lot of degreaser. But I don't know if that's just because there's no degreaser in this water, there's nothing to really break anything loose. So as I said, I'm now going to run through again, but I'm going to do a lot less degreaser this time, probably just a couple of splodges or a couple of capfuls. It says to do 5 capfuls for 5 litres of warm water, so that's what I'm going to do. Right, just a splodge of degreaser this time. I'm not doing capfuls, I'm just going to do a splodge in the bottom. And then this is 5 litres warm water. All right, let's prime it. Good. Clamp it. Okay, that is looking more or less completely clear. I mean, there's a slight residual tinge to it, but that honestly looks to be coming out clear. So I'll disconnect everything, we'll get another look at this. A little bit difficult to see through all the foam, but that is pretty clear now. No, nothing at all like the first round that we had, which was completely brown. You couldn't see the green of the pan down at the bottom there. So now I'm going to pump water through it one more time, hot water, to flush this out, flush all the piping out, flush the pump out, flush the rocker cover out. And then what I'm going to do is attach a hose pipe to it just to run through continuous fresh water, just to make sure there's absolutely no lingering degreaser in here. Because obviously when we're going to be pumping water around, any degreaser that picks up is just going to keep going around. So after I've done that one final time, I'm going to pump actual just plain hose pipe, tap water through until this drain pan is completely full, and then we'll know there's absolutely no chance of any residual degreaser in there. Right, final rinse. Just pump it all through again. 5 litres warm water, and I'm assuming this is going to come out crystal clear. Alrighty, that looks good. Let's get a final look at this water. Okay, so that is clear, completely clear. So that's going to be as much as we could possibly get, if not all, of that oil that's left in the PCV system. So now all that's left to do is give it a good flush through with just plain water from the hose pipe. Right, so lastly, as I said, I'm just going to run it through plain water from the hose pipe, just so we can be sure that if there's any degreaser left in there, we're going to get that out now. Flush that out with just a continuous stream of fresh water. Give it a few tilts and jiggles, just so you know it's getting in all the nooks and crannies that might be in there. Right, so with that rinse through, disconnect the hose pipe. And then just make sure, tilt it every which way. Make sure you get as much as possible of that water that's going to be trying to sit in there out. Make sure there's no sloshing going on. And then once you're confident you've got as much out as you can, by shaking it, tilting it every which way, just leave it for at least 24 hours to dry out. Obviously you could perhaps either run some compressed air or a hairdryer or something on like that through it, just to dry it out a lot quicker. But if you're going to be air drying it normally, just make sure there's no sloshing going on, got the bulk of the water out, and then leave it just to plain air dry for at least 24 hours. Okay guys, that's honestly as much as I can think of for cleaning up and unblocking this PCV system. Now, if you have removed the rocker cover in order to do this job, then head over to my rocker cover refit video, which I'll put a link in the description to, and I'll also put a card up on the screen now for my rocker cover Saga playlist, which has all of the other videos surrounding rocker cover removal that I've made. As always, if you've enjoyed this video or it's helped you out at all, please hit the like button. If you'd like to see more content from the channel in the future, then don't forget to subscribe, and you can find me over on Instagram @SocketsAndSideburns. Thanks for watching guys, I'll see you in the next video.